Hello and welcome back to On the Workbench. Today we're going to be replacing the driver's side rear tail light on an 06 Saab 9.3 SportCombi, something that there's not quite as many of on the road. And as you can hopefully see right here, I got a crack recently in my outer lens. There's two layers of plastic here. There's this outer lens, there's an inner lens. There's a big old crack there from a rock hitting it. Don't know exactly how it happened, so I need to replace it. You can see some of the debris filtered all the way down here. It doesn't look good, it doesn't look nice, so we're going to replace it. So now I'm going to walk you through the process of how to do that on a SportCombi. The tools that you're going to need for this project are relatively simple. First, you're going to need a T30 screwdriver to remove a couple of Torx bolts. We'll set that aside. You're also going to need a 3/8 drive flex head ratchet. The skinnier, the better. And the finer tooth, the better. If you've got a very coarse tooth ratchet, you're going to find yourself very frustrated. You're probably going to want at least 60, if not 90 teeth on that ratchet, just because there's a couple spots at the finer the tooth of the ratchet, the much happier you will be with life for getting through this task. As far as the other tools that we're going to need a 10mm standard length socket, a 10mm semi-deep socket, and then we're also going to need a magnetic adapter that would plug back into your short socket to be able to hold the bolts as they come off. I'm sorry, to be able to hold the nuts when they come off, so that they don't actually fall where you don't want them to fall. So that'll retain that just rather nicely. And then about a 4-inch extension. And assuming you like the finish on your car, you're going to want a non-marring pry bar to help to ease the light out, as well as some delicate fingers that you can get in to be able to remove the electrical connectors. And I don't know, about 20-25 minutes of your time, and that's about it. And obviously the part itself. All right, so in your trunk, if you have the rear cargo cover, you're going to have to remove the cargo cover. Like that, and set aside. So then now we're going to have to get to this access panel right over here to be able to actually get and remove the interior panel, to be able to get behind this to be able to remove a couple of screws. And now the next thing we're going to need to do is to remove the T30 Torx bolt that holds the cargo cover. That comes out like that. You may want to push the other seat forward there just to give yourself a little bit of extra space. So now with the other bolt out, what we can do is we can gently work on trying to pull this back. You may need to reach down a little bit lower and remove. There's an access panel on the driver's side. There's also a small access panel on the passenger side if you're doing the other side. The advantage of the driver's side, when you remove this panel here, lower the camera down, to remove the access panel here to the rear fuse box. On the driver's side, there's a lot more room to get your hand up and in, because there's going to be 3 10mm screws or bolts on the inside that we're going to have to remove. So I'm going to use a 10mm socket, and then on this flex head ratchet, I can fit this in. If it's a flex head ratchet, it'll give me just a few more possibilities. This will make a little bit more sense whenever we see the tail light come out for where this goes. You may need a semi-deep for one and a regular for the other. So the two bolts that are at the bottom, you can fish around through the fuse box, but the one up top up here, you're going to want to probably remove the rear cargo light and then add about a 4-inch extension onto your ratchet to get it in and around. And so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show this on camera explicitly, but you can watch me fish it through, because there is an access slot. If I pull back the panel here, because of that bolt being blind, you also may want to add a magnetic adapter to your extension to make sure you do not lose the bolt while you're working around in a really, really tight spot. There, T30 screwdriver to remove that bolt there. So I also end up using the T30 screwdriver to remove the bottom bolt there, and then pop out this little cover here. Then once you've got all, correction, 4 screws on the inside removed, then we can wiggle this around. And then we may have to use our trusty no Mars scraper. We'll try to get this to come straight out. There's going to be some wires on the inside that we're going to have to deal with when we get this popped out, but and then now, after some gentle prying, we got the light off. I did unclip the connector from there. Let's take a look at this and see what we've got. You can see what's left here. We're going to clean this up here before we put on the light up here and just clean that up so it's all nice and clean. So now if we take a look at the broken light here, you can see we had, if I lay this on its side, 1, 2, 3 screws at the bottom and then 1 all the way up here. That was the one I was using, especially the magnetic adapter, to get to. There's a connector here from the inside. You squeeze the tabs at the top and the bottom, pull it out. Then there's also a grounding wire that connects right here that you'll see that you have to pull that off as well from the inside. It's impossible to show on camera to get a camera and my hands there to get it. Not that big of a deal, just pull it off and you're good to go. So this is the broken part. Now we'll get my new part. Now here's a replacement part I picked up actually off of eBay for a little over $100, which I didn't think was too bad of a price on it. It's all fully intact. There was a wiring stub that came with it that I removed here. Laying the side by side, it looks identical. The one that I picked up here did not include the bolts, so I'm making sure I save them. Not that big of a deal. So now we're going to go over and we're going to install the new light. Before you throw away your old tail light that's broken, you may want to pillage out the bulbs and the bulb holders and just be able to store those away, because those do come out independently of those, and you could put the bulbs in your glove box just to make sure you got extra tail light bulbs in the event you need them, and or the extra holders that go with them. So you just have them as spares, assuming that they still work. So it's going to be really important when we're installing the light that we push this in squarely as we can, that these bolts here all have to go squarely through their respective holes. You can see I've got this cleaned up here a little bit. It's not perfect, but it's, at least in my opinion, we'll call it good enough. Pay attention to the moldings on your car. And the new one should just pop right in, just like that. Now we're going to take this plate here, we're going to go ahead and put this in and secure this using our T30 screwdriver. And then the top one that also doubles as the stop for the tailgate. There we go, that's good on the outside. And then now down here, the next thing I'm going to do is I've got a wiring connector right here. I'm going to go ahead and just push into place. Should just snap right in. Then I've got a wiring ground right here. I'll go ahead and put that in place and go ahead and put on my first nut. There's one. And now we've got 3 more nuts to put back in. Then after you've got all 4 bolts back on, make sure you go to the driver's seat and make sure that you double check your bulbs, that they're working correctly and there's no other faults. And after all 4 are tightened, I'm going to pop this back on here. Next, make sure you deal with the weather stripping around the panel. And then pop the panel back in place and then recover your fuse box. Like that. And then if you still have the bolt here for removing that holds the cargo cover. Put that back in. Again, your T30 screwdriver, and you're good. So now here's the finished product here. You can see I've got the weather stripping here all back and lined up correctly. That's very important. And then our reflector at the top and our tail lights verified to be working. There, hopefully you can see I put on the 4-ways. And so with that, it's all buttoned up and done. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, click the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. I've got a whole playlist on other Saab 9-3 repairs that you might want to watch. This will be part of that playlist, as well as I think there'll be a link at the end of this video. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.